Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Sorry, I'm a little slow on the trigger there. My green screen got stuck on my shoulders because everybody really believes there's a brick wall behind me, right? Yeah. We have a really fascinating show today, and usually fascinating shows are fascinating because the guest is fascinating. And I can honestly say that Dr. Robert Kiltz is one of a kind. Mark Bell sent me his information on Instagram. I was fascinated by a lot of the things he was teaching people. And we're going to learn a lot from him. I can guarantee you that, because he is a thought leader, and he really spends his time on the cutting edge, on the bleeding edge of things. He's not a follower. He's a leader. And you'll find that out here very shortly. We have to thank our title sponsor. Oh, and also you want to stick around for the end of today's show, because I'm going to do a little monologue. It just came to me a little while ago. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but you'll want to listen to it, I promise. So you know that our title sponsor is Legendary Foods. They are the makers of the Tasty Pastry. The Tasty Pastry was the Pop-Tart reimagined. Less than 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of high-quality protein, 4 to 5 net carbs. But this is where I usually tell you, go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to get 10% off. But my good friend Jerome, who works over at Legendary, now has his own code, and you can get 15% off. 15% off, 5% more than I can offer you, because he's a big boss. If you use the coupon code J-A-Y, so save even more if you need to reorder your Legendary pastries, or maybe the nut butters or some of the seasoned almonds. They have so much great stuff, and they got some stuff coming out I can't even talk about yet, but it's going to set what should I call this? The healthy snack world on fire. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the coupon code J-A-Y. To save 15% off instead of 10% off. Act quickly, because I don't know how long this code is going to be available. So please do that. And let's now bring my guest on, Dr. Robert Kiltz. How you doing, Dr. Kiltz?
I'm awesome, Carl. God bless. Thank you. Please, Robert is fine today.
Okay. And you are awesome. I got to be honest. You are. How old are you? I mean,
I'm 66.
Okay, so you're 2 years older than me. You're energetic. You're full of life. You're optimistic. And the reason I say this is because I have a lot of friends my age and your age, and all they talk about is everybody they know that's dying, who's got cancer, whose back hurts too much to get out of a chair. And, you know, we all started at the same time, this group. And how is it that, well, we'll get into that. I was going to say, how does some people end up like you and I, and how do some people end up like that? But it's all choices. But we need to find out more about your story, first of all. So you are a fertility doctor, but yet you seem to be a thought leader in nutrition and fitness. How did that happen?
I was an OBGYN where I focused on women's health care and pregnancy. And I then went into reproductive endocrinology and infertility. I'm a fertility specialist, and I've been practicing that for about 25 years here in upstate New York. And about 20 years ago, I started incorporating mindfulness and yoga and fitness, but I didn't touch nutrition until about 15 years ago when some of my patients were getting pregnant on a diet called paleo. And I had no idea what that was. And I was like, diet doesn't matter. It's kind of what I learned. And I started digging into reading it all. And I went down the rabbit hole all in, and I learned about paleo, keto. And then about 12 years ago, I learned about carnivore, and I personally did it. I wasn't sharing it. I did it myself in literally 1 month. My arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, kidney stones, backaches, bowel bleeding was gone. And I'm like, okay, now I needed to find out why. And that's the journey that I've been on now. And I'm focused on not just those suffering from fertility issues. By the way, if you're infertile, but you consider yourself healthy, you're not healthy.
Right.
Because reproduction is the canary in the coal mine.
Oh
And
my God.
it is
I can't believe you said that. I've been saying this for a decade now.
It's because, again, once there's so many women and men suffering from reproductive issues, it is growing. And I scratched my head for so long, and even my current science says it's idiopathic, unknown cause. And I said, well, then we're the idiots because we're claiming we don't know. But what I found in carnivore and even keto, even paleo, and I'll even give Atkins some accolades in this.
He was the first low carb guy, really,
in our lifetime, because this isn't new, by the way.
No, Keckwick and Pawan discovered a lot of this stuff in the 50s as well. So yeah,
absolutely. And so my job, I went into medicine to help people. My sister was very, very sick for years with diabetes. My best friend died of cancer, age 52, but I saw so many suffering. And as a doctor, I spent so much time and money and energy to be a doctor, then to realize all I was doing was sharing the actual causes of the diseases in the sense of eat this, do this, and we didn't have any connection that maybe the diet is the diamond in the rough in the sense of the answer, right? But the right diet is what we're all looking for. And I think I found it. But again, I only found it for me to share it. It's been around for 3.5 million years.
Right. And I want to talk about evolution in a second, but actually I want to talk about evolution now. What I have said on this show for years now, at least a decade, is that ED, loss of libido, those are the canaries in the mine for men, because the body knows we can't let this guy have a baby. We can't let this woman have a baby. They won't be around to care for the baby. So they shut reproduction off. We see that during famine. Famine is a trigger where women become infertile. Female bodybuilders go through this where they lose their period. That's because the body is going, wow, you can't feed yourself. You can't take care of a baby. We're just shutting that stuff off.
And we are meant to get fat and then fast. And during the fast, we gestate and carry a baby to term. And then it's time to go out and find the food. But the woman breastfeeds from a breast, not a bottle, for that baby. And we've really got it turned upside down, and we need to be the speakers of the truth, that ultimately everyone and anyone can heal themselves by changing their nutrition, which back to the optimal human nutrition, which is animal based and not plant based, unfortunately.
And when people talk about especially when vegans talk about how a plant-based diet is the appropriate human diet, they failed to answer the question, well, what did we do for 40,000 years of ice age? What grew during the ice age? Nothing. So in other words, how would we have been vegans if that was, lions know their diet, chimpanzees know their diet, but we've actually been so removed from our natural habitat for so long that we've lost the instinct of our diet, and instead marketing has told us what we should eat, and look where it's gotten us.
It's brainwashing. Essentially, we've been called from the wild to come to the domesticated corral and fed a diet of mush to keep us meek while the masters eat the meat. It really is so simple, because ultimately we do want the meat, but we've been so brainwashed that meat causes cancer and gout and every disease. And when's the last time you ever saw meat in the toilet? Meat digests in the upper GI tract.
I love that. I love that when they say people say, well, you can't digest meat. It just festers. And I've actually been a little vulgar and said, I've looked in the toilet bowl. I've never seen a half-eaten steak.
Listen, we're all looking, and it's there. It's corn, it's vegetables, and fermentation. See, there's a few things, and I say the 5 things that cause all disease, and we'll talk about that, is basically essentially from a plant-based, low animal fat, no animal fat diet. And there are no vegan civilizations that ever existed, ever, right? And humans are not hunting chickens or fish. They're hunting big animals that are hard to kill. That was where our energy came from for thousands and millions of years. Again, I don't know what we would have eaten 50, 100,000 years ago, but you sure as heck aren't going out in nature and finding food with plants unless you have agriculture. And agriculture is domesticating, controlling, dictatorial, and damaging for everyone that eats it of any significance or frequency.
The first dental caries were discovered 40,000 years ago when we started to become an agrarian nation. When we did monocrop, all we grew was this and all we ate was that. But before that, there were no cavities. They find the human remains of paleo men frozen in the ice. Their teeth are perfect. I mean, they're worn, but there's no cavities.
Well, Weston Price showed that, went around. Yeah. So many people have shown that. Read James Henry Salisbury Steak. He was an MD in the Civil War, graduated from Albany Med in the 1850s. He found that his men were dying of dysentery in a plant-based diet. He put them on steak and coffee. They all got better. He actually was a microscopist and a chemist. He documented them very well. He's got a great book out there that you'll find fascinating. We don't need any more scientists writing papers of proving anything. The proof is in our past, and there's plenty of stories in our present that'll tell us that a fatty meat, no plant-based nutritional plan is I call it the master meal, right, where the masses are eating the mush, and that's it. You eat mush from a bowl, meat from a bone. Which one do you want?
Yeah, right, exactly. So when you talk to your colleagues about this, do they think, oh, that crazy Bob Kiltz, or some of them starting to understand that just because they were told in school that food plays no role in the etiology of disease, that may not be true?
Well, according to the American Journal of OBGYN, the healthiest food you and I should be eating is still considered a plant-based diet.
Yeah, right.
And they say do not eat keto, paleo, or Atkins. So our current leaders, professionals, the professors, the experts tell us that plants are good and animals are bad. And keto and carnivore and Atkins are unsustainable. So I do talk about this to my colleagues. Interesting enough, most will say, "Oh, this is crazy," and I've been reprimanded at my local university. I'm not allowed to talk about it to the medical students, and I've been reported to my licensing bureau in New York State. Now, I was cleared, but it was one of those things that was a little bit of a reprimand. Be careful, you shouldn't talk about these things. But interesting enough, a few of my colleagues come over to me and say, I'm doing carnivore. It's the most amazing thing I've ever done. But what they're not doing is telling our patients who we have the honor to give advice and treat the truth. And so that is unconscionable to me. And it's just it's not right. And we need to change it up. And that's part of my mission is share the story.
Right.
And I just had a patient come from Michigan. All their friends and family listens to me. They think I'm wonderful, but they call me a little kooky doctor. Okay. Because that's what I'm thought of. And I honor that. Someone's watching it. That means they're going to be thinking kooky at first. And then some of them are going to do it. And they're going to be like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. And that's what happened to me personally. I'm only giving personal experience. And from all my patients I've seen get pregnant, stop miscarrying, go to term, all the diseases go away. Their brain goes like, oh my God, I'm alive. I'm not a zombie on a drug made by a plant that all they want to do is put you down as fertilizer.
Two points I want to make here. And we just came out of a situation where we saw what I'm going to talk about. Every scientist, real scientist, understands that science evolves. We build on what we thought we knew, and then we learn new things, and we move forward. And when Galileo started to talk about his perception of the universe, it contradicted what the Pope was saying, right? And when people talk about science and speak in absolutes, whatever those absolutes are, no, the sun revolves around us, whatever that happens to be, or no, catching a virus doesn't convey the same immunity that a vaccine does. When they put their foot down and they dig their heels in and they say, this is how it is, run, because they're no longer scientists anymore, because science is based on cordial discourse and ideas sharing and disagreeing. That's what science is, because we don't push forward unless I hear something and it makes me think, well, let me look at that. There may be some truth in that. And when you have people writing this kind of stuff that you have, I was going to curse, that no, this is the way you should eat if you have a fertility problem. And they say it with absolute confidence, run. They can't be confident, because 10 years from now, they'll learn something different that will disagree with it. What do you think about that?
Well, number one is science and medicine should be always looked at as maybe. And that's interesting. I've never heard that. Well, let me look at that. But that's not how we do it. We react with negativity first. We push aside and call them kooky.
Right.
And I always ask the medical students, because I talk about it to the medical students, and many of them are like, yeah, I don't know. And I say, okay, you're in medical school. Medical school is a learning. Now, unfortunately, all teaching is not actually teaching you to be open and learning, open to everything. You're learning a formula that you're supposed to live the formula. And if you go away from the formula, there's something wrong with you. So what I always say is it possible the foundation of science is wrong? And so that foundation of science that you live on that has led us down this road maybe is wrong, and maybe you should flip it over and look over here. But you're unwilling to do that because you believe so so strong.
You gotta protect your fiefdom. You gotta protect your biases. You've invested all this time in this belief system that saying, "Oh, I've been wrong for 30 years," is very hard for people to do. But that's not science.
Well, it's ultimately, if we look at science through the years, it is always changing.
Right.
So what was right before is wrong now. So
mercury to treat syphilis. Where'd that
absolutely. go? or bloodletting. But
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that we need to look at all science as wrong. If we look at it first as wrong, it might be the way we do things, but question all of it. That's the most important part. So number one, sugar, glucose is not the energy for our cells. Zero. Insulin resistance doesn't exist. Sorry. And obesity causes no disease. No way. Now, those are radical statements, aren't they?
Right.
Okay,
right.
So what if there was another story to all of them, but we're so blind and don't want to hear it or see it that we're not willing to admit the fact that the genetics that get you fat is why we even exist in this world. Because if you did not get fat before the famine or the winter, you're fertilizer. And so the problem with science and medicine, we're judgmental and prejudicial. We are prejudicial against people who have opposite ideas and obesity. And we need to stop it, especially in reproductive medicine, because there's a cutoff, a BMI cutoff. So now women who are overweight can get pregnant all on their own and have babies. But if you're overweight and you need fertility treatment, we're not going to touch you because I don't know. And lose weight, come to me, then I'll help you. Which
right.
Is,
at least eliminate that one variable. Yeah.
Which again, obesity is not the cause of disease. It's what you're eating causes the disease that also happens to make you fat. But fat is not the disease. The poisons you eat are causing all the damage to your body. Done.
Okay, so talk about the first time I saw you discuss nutrition. You talked about carnivore, keto, and 1 meal a day as complementary, right? So
most carnivores, lions, do not eat but once a day or less. They lounge around a lot and they sleep a lot more. And so we recommend 3 to 6 meals a day, mostly plant-based, lean meat, no fat. Well, and then exercise. And yet with that advice, we're all getting fatter and sicker and more diseases. The cost of healthcare is going up. And so maybe something's wrong. Well, I went to 1 meal a day on that same diet I was eating before, and I felt better. That's kind of the keto way. 1 meal, high fat, that's the best for those that aren't willing to get to the next level. And so simply the bowels, as long as they're full of plants, they're secreting sugar to the liver, which must be converted to fat, and they're secreting all the toxins throughout the body that plants make to kill you or disable you or disrupt you or control you. And so 1 meal a day, even if you're a vegan, a vegetarian, and Mediterranean, it will help tremendously. So again, we're pushing more calories and exercise. Well, what animal eats more calories and then goes run to exercise to lose weight?
Right.
Does that make any sense? No. And so don't do that. So 1 meal a day. Now, okay, 1 meal, 1 snack. Well, how do you do it? The problem is when you eat plants, a plant, a fruit, a fiber, a vegetable, a seed, they're all sugar, all of it. Every vegetable, every fruit, it's all sugar. So now wait, don't eat.
I want you to expand on this because there's people out there going, wait a minute, broccoli's not sugar. But what you're basically saying is that these are saccharides, right?
They're all glycans.
Okay.
GLYCANS. The glycans are critical for something, but not energy. And so we've been duped to believe that glucose is our energy. It is not. Fat is. And so we're not eating fat. When you don't eat fat, amino acids from proteins and sugars from plants all go to the liver and are converted to fat. So we're blaming fat for the disease, but it's a high protein, high carb, low fat diet that is actually the single leading cause of our diseases. That is it.
And so is everybody out there lacking critical thinking to see that we're doing this? We've been doing it since the 70s, and people are getting fatter and fatter. Aren't there any medical authorities going, this isn't working out right? Like, how do we keep doubling down on it year after year?
Well, doctors and scientists and experts, professors, and the highest echelon of the control of the world are human beings also. We're highly manipulated. Our brains believe what's the most common story. That's what marketing is. Whatever the most common story is, your brain believes. And that's why dictators and despots are able to control people, because they make it the story. Yeah. And so it takes a lot of work to change your story. And so I'm not trying to convince the experts. I'm just sharing a story. If you think you're interested, you might listen, learn, and read. But I'm only telling you from one human being that recognized that humans are not grass eaters. We are animal eaters. We came out of the trees to eat the grass eaters, not the grass. And so, again, all we can do is continue the conversation, and that's it. And one human being at a time. And you're in charge of you, not me, not your doctor, not the government, not any experts. They're telling you a story that's false, but your brain is so brainwashed, you won't believe it. And so my job is to share it in a way between books and podcasts and videos that hopefully I can touch enough people that then will touch enough people and touch enough people that will go like, you know what? I love plants. I love fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts. I love salad. I'm Italian, but I love me more than I love that. Right. And I want to get back to who I am, and you and I are made of the same stuff.
Right. So how do you, so first of all, if my goal is to continue to build muscle, I'm hormonally optimized. I'm on HRT. I've been on HRT since 2007. Can I do it with one meal a day?
Oh, well, lions do it.
Yeah, lions aren't going out to add 10 pounds of muscle. In fact, from evolutionary perspective, muscle is metabolically expensive, and really we don't want to add a lot of muscle. So I have to consume, and I have to trigger that anabolic state several times a day to have a net gain by the end of the month.
Well, there certainly, we all have a different goal. All right. Okay. So my global goal is strength, health, and wellness. Okay. Not bulk. All right. We're all seeking something individually, but on the scheme of the universe, resistance work to using your body to move and contribute in life, that's critical. And move. Light weights, resistance work. But what really is powerful, for me, it's bacon, eggs, butter, beef, one meal a day, a little bit of ice cream from time to time, and salt. These are the simple things. Now, for me, I do my podcasts. I love work. I have no thought of retiring. I want to, and I love getting into the resistance work, the workout space, because it keeps me strong to get up out of bed, to participate in life. But you can build in one meal a day, but in some cases you may want to add a little bit more of the muscle meat. But ultimately, fat contains protein. Do you know that when you eat fat?
No, I didn't know that.
A fat cell contains glycoproteins and sugars. They have all you need. You don't need all this fancy variety. You don't need all these supplements. You don't need them. I think organ meats are critical and important, but it really is critical that if you want to build bulk, get pushing and pulling heavy on a regular basis with rest in between, and get a great coach. That's going to really help.
Yeah, a lot of people need coaches. There's no doubt about it. So right now I am pretty much carnivore, but I eat 3 meals a day. I train fasted in the morning, and my first meal is a half a dozen eggs. And right now, I got a ton of prosciutto in the house. So I've been eating a lot of prosciutto in the morning. Generally, before my show, I have. Yesterday, I had a pound of corned beef, and then after my show, I eat about a pound and a half of beef. But I also like berries. I like strawberries and raspberries. What do you think about that? The berries?
They're deadly.
Really?
They're dead. See, my friends have died silently, meaning that they were healthy until they died. And ultimately, fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, and nuts of any frequency or significance contains plant toxins, antigens, lectins, oxalates, phytates. They ferment in your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your bowels, and ultimately, they're not good for us. And I would say our quest for excessive exercise is not good for most of us. Again, it's damaging. It's like a car. You use a tractor and thinking you're going to build its weight, it drops dead faster.
Right.
So we're no different than a Ferrari, a temple. We're doing more than we should be doing. Do less, be more. That's my solution for all of us. Imagine.
But the only thing I would say is to that with the excessive exercise, hunter gatherers there's a hunter gatherer population we've discussed on this show with Joel Green, probably a half a dozen different shows, called the Nuigi, I think it is, and they expend about 25,000 calories a day as hunter gatherers. So that's a lot of throughput. That's, they have to eat a lot in order to be able to do that. There are those that would argue that modernity has made us slow down. We would be doing a lot more lifting and walking and traveling and so on and so forth in our original environment.
I don't know what a calorie is, number one. I don't know what a gram is. I don't know anything that we're measuring that we're saying this is what you need. All right. I eat a fistful of meat every day, one time a day. I occasionally have a little salami or cheese in the afternoon, but 99% it's at one meal. I'm 66, 150 pounds. I'm the same weight I've been. My strength is better. My energy is better. And there's a lot of talk out there, right? And you build muscle in resistance work, and it's time. And you have to be patient in every commitment to get to where you want to go and commit to the persistence. That's really what I say. 99% of the people just want to live a great, healthy, happy life. And that's built in spirituality and faith and meditation and prayer. It's built in working. You don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to lift and build. You need to do the things that we're meant to do. We're meant to cook and clean and work to build up, make our food and cook it. And we're meant to be social in so many ways, whether it's music or art or poetry or whatever it is.
Right.
Watching this great show that you're doing, which we're inspired by the way.
Right.
So if you want to build some muscle, you don't need to do it on excessive calories or excessive, right? You know that you can pull a tendon, break a bone.
Yeah, I've done plenty of that.
and as we age, listen, you can't take a 30-year-old car and think it's going to do the same thing a 1-year-old car does, because all particles are degraded over time. Yes. All of them. And so we're all going to die. We're going to be fertilizer one day. Why rush it? And we're putting, I think this concept, you got to feed is oversimplification. My bet is less is best if you want to get to the place you want to go. Again, now I'm not bulky, but I've got strong muscles. I'm lean. I don't try to be skinny. I've got it because, again, if I'm sick and you don't have fat on your body, you're fertilizer fast. And if you eat 3 meals a day or more, you're damaging the glycobiome. The glycobiome is the sugar coating of our bowels, of our vessels. They're the protective layer that's damaged because we eat too frequently. We're putting bacteria and yeast in our body which is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeast is a big problem. We just talked about that today. Mold is a bigger problem than in fact, idiopathic neuropathies are now looking like mold triggering some sort of vasculature changes where the nerves are. Yeah, plants. You think that's what it is, the plants, or is it the mold?
No. Okay, so if you put butter out on your kitchen table and bread out for a week, who grows the mold?
Oh yeah, the bread.
The butter does not.
No.
Okay.
In fact,
So
back in the old days, they used to keep butter on the table.
You got it. But so the carbohydrates are the source of food for mold, bacteria, and other microbes.
Right.
Not fat. Okay. So everyone's blamed fat, but it's actually the sugar. Now we have a layer of sugar called the glycobiome that is actually a protector of your body, but it's damaged because of our nutrition, our diet.
Mm-hmm.
Like dissolves like. When you eat sugar, it dissolves sugar. Okay. So the Teflon shield of our body, again, which most people have not even heard of the sugar coating called the glycobiome. Glycobiology is the magic secret. But essentially, bacteria, yeast, and viruses are all killers for human beings because we eat a lot of sugar. That means our sugar level is elevated from the day you're born. Actually, in utero, your mom is eating a bunch of sugar, which is already making you addicted to sugar once you're born. And then you're going to have ADHD, OCD, depression, anxiety, and more. And you're going to blame it on your DNA.
Right. That's fascinating. It's
not your DNA. It's the plants. Again, sugar, we think white, but plants are good.
Right.
But plants are deadly.
And we talked about this off the air. Less than 1% of all the plants on the planet are edible. And we learned which ones are not edible because literally hundreds of thousands of our ancestors died because they were hungry and they thought, well, let me try to eat that plant. And he fell over. Then somebody made a note, hey, don't eat that plant. But interestingly enough, 0% of animals are poisonous when you kill them and eat them. I mean, okay.
Well, there are some poisonous animals that you don't want to touch, and people die of shellfish and fish because they're the toxic ones. But ribeye steak and meat from a cow, no way. Pork, no way. Lamb, no way. And so ultimately, we figured out which are the best animals to eat. But you see, we killed off all the big animals. Now we're left with the domesticated ones we can control.
Right.
And no, we don't domesticate lions to eat them, do we?
No.
And so the simple answer, Occam's razor says the simple answer is the one. We are the idiots that can't see the truth because of the jungle. And we think the jungle is friendly because the only plants we eat are the ones that don't kill us right away, mostly.
Right. They have enough toxins in them to make us sick.
Yes.
Slow erosion of the body. Right.
And they're going to get you one day or another. And you're going to think, well, it's Alzheimer's. They just have it in their family, or it's diabetes. It runs in their family, or stroke. Plant hemagglutinins. Okay. A phytohemagglutinin is a plant toxin lectin that causes blood clots when you eat it.
Wow. That's shocking. Yeah. We're going to take a quick commercial break. The website is Dr. Kiltz, DrKiltz.com if you want to learn more. He's got some books there and a lot of other stuff. And this is where you want to go to learn more about Dr. Robert Kiltz. Yeah, the Kiltz Carnivore. I like that. That's good. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Stick around. Never before has a product been so appropriately named as Botanic Tonics Feel Free. This plant-based elixir combines a variety of different effective compounds, all from raw plant materials that at different doses provide you with completely different experiences. A third of a bottle puts you in the zone and makes you very focused and is ideal for a non-stimulating pre-workout. It also has a mild analgesic effect for us older lifters who have soreness and little pains and aches that keep us from training as ferociously as we want. A half a bottle will create a mild euphoric effect that will allow you to forego consuming alcohol, but still be socially lubricated and have fun. I have never had a product deliver on its name the way Botanic Tonics Feel Free does, and I won't ever be without it, and you shouldn't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/feel-free and use the code SHR40 for 40% off your first order. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. GHKCU is one of the most effective peptides for rebuilding more youthful skin, reversing skin damage, diminishing wrinkles, and tightening loose skin. I personally use Restoracell with GHKCU every day. It's making an undeniable difference in the quality of my skin. Restoracell is fantastic for all types of skin. Now you can order Restoracell and save 25% when you use the code SHR25. That's SHR25. While you may be diligent in your workouts and your diet, don't neglect what people see first and foremost, and that's your skin. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use code SHR25 today. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. There are lots of concerns about food supply today. That's why you need White Oak Pastures. White Oak Pastures will deliver food right to your doorstep. You don't even have to go out and be disappointed by shopping in grocery stores. The finest beef, pork, lamb, duck, and more can be found at White Oak Pastures. And now they even have seafood. And best of all, White Oak Pastures has a negative carbon footprint, which means that you don't have to feel guilty for eating your ribeye. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 15% off.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
Welcome back. We're talking with Dr. Robert Kiltz. We're talking about dietary modulation, really, carnivore, keto, 1 meal a day, blending all three of these approaches to come up with the best eating plan for you. I don't even like that word diet anymore because it's lost meaning. It has too many unintended meanings. So let's talk a little bit, since we have you on, and you are a fertility doctor, about hormones. Do you believe in HRT? Do you think it's a mistake? Do you think people can avoid it?
Well, I'm a fertility specialist. I really help people conceive and deliver babies and reduce miscarriages. And I'm not in the world of menopausal hormone replacement therapy. I have my beliefs and experiences that I think if you go carnivore, you go to 1 meal a day, and carnivore is a high fat diet, by the way. It's
Right.
50 to 80% of your calories from fat. And reduce your proteins, because ultimately too many proteins aren't good. And so organ meats are really good. And for some men eat testicles, and women eat ovaries. They may get some benefits from that, but I don't want to misspeak because that isn't my area of practice for many years. But I do believe that the damage that our ovaries and testicles experience due to our high plant-based, low-fat, animal fat diet is damaging our reproductive organs. And I think you're seeing libido problems, erectile dysfunction, women's mood disorders. Again, and it's saying in a way that's related to hormonal, menstrual, ovarian cyclicity, which I think is damaged due to the oxalates, lectins, phytates, the glycation from sugars, along with the fermentation in the colon, and the colon sits right next to the reproductive organs, the prostate, the testicle, tubes, and uterus. And fermentation makes heat, gas, alcohol, aldehydes, methane that directly damages our reproductive organs right there in our pelvis. And so, is there any surprise? And so, when it comes to HRT, I don't prescribe it. I don't practice it. We use hormones in reproductive medicine, estrogen, progestins, but we use them in related to helping someone get pregnant, stay pregnant. I think
you use them acutely. It's not like you're going to say to a woman, "Here, we're going to help you get pregnant by giving you progesterone," but you're not going to keep taking it after the baby's born. That's it.
I don't believe that in the long term they're good for us. And even for men on HRT and women on HRT, even those working to build muscle, it's not the very best for us because it's going to adversely affect your natural production, and that's not the realm to go. There are some naturopaths that may help you with some topical things that may be helpful. And remember, plants are the source of medications and drugs. So, yeah, I'm not putting down use of drugs or medications or plants, by the way. I think there's a place for them. And even if you're going to eat them from time to time, or you're a vegan, vegetarian, there are some ways to make these changes, but it's not the very best way to do it. So I would say you need to really talk to your endocrinologist, your naturopath that's going to help you with the acute phase while you're working to find the proper nutritional solution. I agree with you. Diets are dead. I call it the baby's way, which is bacon, eggs, butter, beef, intermittently feasting. See, intermittent fasting says I intermittently don't eat. That's not what you want to do. You want to eat one time a day or less in order to rest the bowels, allow the glucose levels to go way down in order to build the ketones and make you feel the very best.
What time of day is the best for OMAD, especially if you train rigorously early in the morning?
Well, your body does not use the energy of the food you eat right now.
Right.
And remember, sugar is only a drug like epinephrine or other stimulants. It's not energy. You must convert all food in the form of amino acids and simple sugars in the liver to fat. You only burn fat. Fat is the ATP producing source. Why would you ever use sugar when you have so much fat everywhere? And so acetyl-CoA is cleaved from long chain fatty acids, short chain, medium chain, like that. So where I work out in the morning at 3 a.m. and I don't eat until, I've eaten at 6 o'clock, but I often work out in the afternoon or the evening and I'm not eating. You don't need to eat in order to move your muscles. That's psychological brainwashing. I've got to eat. I'm hungry. Well, you're only brainwashed like Pavlov's dog. Ding, ding, ding. That's it.
So what time do you eat regularly? You eat in the afternoon?
Usually eat between 5 and 7 p.m. I pretty much eat my ribeye steak, my ribeye every day. I eat, again, a quarter, about a fistful of meat, fatty meat with butter. I'll throw on it's ribeye. I'll put on a little frog wag, duck liver, and then I'll occasionally have my ice cream because I reward myself a simple sugar, a little bit from time to time, but not all the time. That's really critical.
Right.
And then I go to bed early because when you sleep, the blood flow goes to the bowels. The blood flow to the bowels are critical for proper digestion.
So, Dr. Dale Bredesen, who wrote the New York Times bestseller about the end of Alzheimer's, he's been on the show a couple times. He actually came on the show the first time when he had his 20 patient study that he did. And he is adamant about 3 hours from the last meal till the time you go to sleep in order to not interrupt certain types of processes like autophagy and so on and so forth. Do you care about, will you eat and go right to sleep?
Well, I typically eat and then maybe an hour or two, but quite often if you overeat, what do you want to do? I have times to lay on the couch and I'm done. And so I would say that in most animals, you'll watch them gorge, and then they'll go to sleep. So the autophagy.
But the problem with that, and I get that, but the problem with that is there's a huge difference between a lion after eating his share of a gazelle laying under a tree in the shade and napping in the afternoon, which I actually made my greatest strength gains when I would come home, I'd train, I'd eat, and I'd sleep. I'd take a nap right after, but that was in the morning. At nighttime, because of circadian rhythm, there are different things going on when you sleep at night versus if you have a big meal in the afternoon and fall asleep. So would you consider that maybe an option?
Well, look, sleep whenever you want, eat whenever you want. It's your life. Right. That's number one. All right. But we should eat in order to fuel the Ferrari for the creative things we do. Eating once a day isn't necessary. You can eat once every 3 days if you have enough calories in the form of fat that you are going to be fine. This idea that we're supposed to eat all the time, and napping is critical. We don't nap enough. I nap at least 1 to 3 times a day. That is, I think, really important. But again, find what feels good and right for you. Listen, we're trying to do too much. And ultimately, when you eat food, it needs to digest. There's autophagy is happening all the time. Autophagy doesn't wait for something special to happen. Every cell has cellular debris and old stuff that needs to be cleaned up. It's always going to do it. It's nonstop, 24/7, 365 throughout your lifetime. So science says a lot of things that sounds really great. And if we say it in a way that it's like, this is the answer. And remember, we're all promoting something, even Kiltz, all right? But I would say in general, you think and we worry about too much, okay? If you have your dinner and you're tired, go to bed, you'll be fine. Because everyone's worried, oh my God, I can't go to bed yet. You're tired because rest and digest versus fight or flight. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm a physician. I've been doing this for years. I see it. I feel it. I know it. Do I need to do a scientific study that I'm going to say, well, that doesn't prove that? Well, but I read scientific studies all the time that come up with something and I say, that doesn't make sense. And then 5 years later, we find out it didn't make sense, but we got to wait for some other scientists. And I'd say enough. Listen, go for a walk in life, do a radio show or build something, design something. Get up and go to work and be creative every day. If you're sitting on the couch doing this all day and you're complaining all day, well, you're making negative energy. That's why you want to learn to be positive, read, watch, listen to positive people like yourself. All right. I say read the Bible, read some biblical text, follow some spiritual idea that's going to bring positivity in your life, and to recognize that bad things happen all the time, but they're part of the journey. They're not bad. They're just the pieces of the puzzle to get you to the place you want to be. Then you need to eat a proper human nutritional diet. What is it? It's keto carnivore. Now, again, keto's made up, but we know what a carnivore is, right? Like paleo, keto, Atkins, forget them all.
Right. Last question I want to ask you.
Sure, please.
In the 70s, when you and I were in high school, the message was fat is bad. And we have a lot of problems with toxicity today. Toxic overload of plant stuff, toxic. Do you think that message has hurt us? Because fat, back in the day, if you swallowed poison, they gave you egg yolks, they gave you cream, and it shuttled the poison out of your body before you could absorb it. And we know that fat cells are where all the toxins are in your body. And that's why rapid weight loss sometimes brings on certain cancers and stuff like that. Do you think that message from the people making dietary recommendations at the government was a huge mistake, and it's led to bigger problems that we can't pin? It's not easy to say, oh, because you didn't eat enough fat, you didn't get this stuff out of your body. But do you think that there's something there?
Well, I don't believe that fat is the storage of toxins in our body of any significance. Otherwise, we'd be dead really fast. I think that ultimately For 10,000 years or more, we've all been duped. This isn't new. This isn't the last 50 years. It's ancient. We're just bringing it to light because the masters of marketing are better and better and better. But basically, if you go back to the Egyptians and before, a plant-based, agricultural-based, domesticated diet is deadly for all humanity. We need to get back to our ancient ancestral roots, tribal hunters. That is it. Now, again, we're not going to do that. I love my houses, my planes, my cars. I love everything about my life. Love being able to do this. All right. Well, it's happening because we're all doing this together. And so I love a good pasta, bread, or salad from time to time. But I now recognize that the toxins are the plants. That is it. And fat, see, we still blame fat as the culprit. If you get rid of your fat, you won't have the stores of toxins. Well, why did my skinny, lean, strong friend die of cancer and he had about an ounce of fat on him? Because that's not the problem. It's still the plants that you eat in any significance or frequency that are causing glycation, fermentation, the chemicals they make, lectins, oxalates, and phytates, and excessive exercise and too frequent meals. Again, Occam's razor says the simple answer is the one. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble here, but I'm just a measly doctor that just said, you know what? This works. Am I different than you? Are my cells different than you?
You know what's really funny? People who have gout, their doctors tell them to stay away from meat because of purines. But do you know that most vegetables have more purines in them than dark meat turkey?
Look, turkey is deadly, by the way, because there's no fat in turkey, by the way. So don't ever touch it, in my opinion. It's a celebration of something. Remember, it's because the pilgrims came to Americas and we're celebrating something as the death of the American Indians. So we should probably toss that one out. But ultimately, gout and every disease is caused by plants. And a high protein, low fat diet is also deadly.
Right. And nitrates is another one that I love. Oh, don't eat nitrates. A stalk of celery has more nitrates in it than 10 hot dogs.
Okay, look,
somehow plant-based nitrates aren't bad for you.
Well, we put out our blogs on that all over the place. And I'm not trying to put down a plant-based nutritional solution, but ultimately people die of anaphylactic reactions to plants fast. And if you don't have an EpiPen or an ER, you can be dead fast. My daughter would die to bananas and avocados. People die of peanuts all the time. And so ultimately, fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, and nuts of any significance or frequency, my friend, is not good for you. And a high protein, low fat diet is also not good for you.
And I love fat. That's one of the things I actually enjoy. Elisa will tell you that when we're at restaurants and they put that butter thing, I don't eat the bread, but I scoop the butter with my spoon and I eat it.
Yeah, that's what I do. And I do eat sourdough from time to time. And I will have cake, cookie, or ice cream from time to time. Maybe once a month, a little bit, but I don't buy them. They're never in my house.
Yeah, they're not in your house.
We're filling our homes with stuff that is toxic. It's like if you're an addict, a drug addict, or an alcoholic, and you have those stuff in your house, you're screwed.
Dr. Robert Kiltz, this has been fun. I love your energy. I like what you're doing. And I wish you Godspeed and more power. drkiltz.com, drkiltz.com. We will see you again, I'm sure. Have a fantastic weekend. Take care.
I look forward to it. God bless. Thank you so much.
Take care. Stay with me because when we come back, I realized something today. I want to talk about it. It's about all this stuff that's going around right now about should kids go to college. I got an idea. I had a thought. It's just a little critical thinking. My father-in-law would call it oxmology. He was a farmer, and that apparently means common sense. So stay with me through the break. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, All Visionary Pet recipes are very low carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is MyPillow. I've been sleeping with MyPillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have MyPillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/MyPillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. P3OM from Bioptimizers is a patented prebiotic and probiotic supplement with Lactobacillus plantarum OM. It has now been upgraded to P3OM 2.0 with the addition of a superfood formulation that makes it 2 times stronger, as well as optimizes L. plantarum's strength. So it's more powerful than ever, which means that not only will it help you completely digest all animal proteins, it also reduces cortisol, causes deep relaxation and better sleep, and reduces stress. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3-OM today and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Hey, welcome back. So this will be real fast, but it's just an observation. So my friend and I, Brian Tyler, my friend in the next office over, we were having a conversation about some kid who was asking him for advice about a career. And the kid said, I don't have a degree. And my friend Brian said, well, you're going to need one because employers, they don't care what your degree is in, just as long as you've shown them that you can do something and stick to it for 4 years. And I thought about that for a second. In this time where student loan, God bless my son, Chase, he paid off a $70,000 student loan in 5 years by himself. And he's really pissed off about the handout that's going on right now, if it ever comes out, because he feels like, wow, I starved myself for 5 years and all I did was work to pay my loan off. And so I said to my friend Brian, I said, earlier in my life, I was on a different career path. I went to school for optometry, but life had a different plan for me. And I only practiced for a little while. So, if you want to be an optometrist, you got to get a degree. If you want to be an engineer, you got to get a degree. But these employers who want to see a degree for a sales position, you know what I mean? Okay, if you're going to be a CFO, you have to have a finance degree. I understand that. But employers need to stop putting so much weight on the fact that someone stayed in school for 4 years and ran up huge debt, and their core competency and their major has nothing to do with the job they're taking a job for sales with AT&T Cellular. We have to have employers stop doing that, because that's driving the problem of people going out there and getting degrees they don't need. Oh, I have to graduate college. I have to go to college because how am I going to get a job? Well, it depends. What is your job going to be in? I mean, if you're taking liberal arts and nonsense courses, history, and you're not going to be a history teacher, why are you in college? Why are you doing that? Get a jump on your life and go get a job. Get practical experience in a job. I put this on the blame of this on employers. Employers need to look at positions. Do we really need a college-educated kid for this position here? We're going to have them selling cell phones? No, don't require it. Let's stop the madness, because all these schools today, all these universities, MIT, Harvard, Yale, they have literally billions and billions and billions of dollars in their trust funds, in their what do they call them? Where the people donate money. But literally, they could send every kid who wants to get a degree at Harvard, they could send them there for free and take that money. What are they saving the money for? What are they holding on to it for? What, to build new buildings? This is nonsense. Tuition today is jacked up so bad. And the government is just allowing them to abuse the parents who have to pay these and the kids who have to pay off their loans to take advantage of people, to charge them hundreds of thousands of dollars for a degree that it really doesn't even matter. But it's not, they end up getting jobs and not even in that scope of what their degree is in. It starts with employers. If you're an employer, get that bullshit off the app about what degree you have and stop asking people, well, do you have a degree? You know, I dropped out of high school. I went back and got a GED, and then I went to school for optometry. Okay. But I thought I wanted to be an optometrist, and it turns out that I really didn't. Did that education help me? Yeah. On this show, I understand anatomy and physiology in great depth, especially of the skull. Yeah, I get it. But the reality is that nothing I did in any of my careers was related, except for the 2 years of getting out of college. None of the stuff that I've done, I needed a degree for. But it has to start with employers. You have to stop asking young people for proof of a degree because that shows you that they finished something. There's other things in their life that will show you. Did they play sports? High school. They were a high school hockey player for 4 years. There you go. There's evidence that they can stick to something. But if we're going to change the culture and the way the need for university is, we have to start with the employers. They have to stop asking for degrees to prove that somebody has the stick-to-itiveness to finish something, and making that person spend tens of thousands of dollars in something that they're never going to fall back on or use. It's just nonsense. It's madness. So there you go. That's my rant for today. Look, it's Friday. My motorcycle's outside. It's sunny out, 83 degrees. I can't wait to get out of the studio today and get home to Elisa. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Remember, metabolic currency. Muscle is metabolic currency. So get into the gym and make a deposit today, because I believe if you are stronger today than you were yesterday, you are younger today than you were yesterday. Okay, take care. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.